Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another CRCI studio interview. Today, we got blessed with the wonderful Ben Stiller. I'm actually doing this intro because I forgot to intro him during the interview. But Ben was an incredible person to talk to, and I'm really excited for y'all to see this interview and see exactly what he's about. So I hope y'all enjoy, and I hope it goes well.
First and foremost, I wanted to know, how did you find out and start getting into the CRCI program? And then what was your process in being able to create and creating while serving time at the same time? What was that process like for you?
I can't remember exactly how I got involved with the music. I think I just saw a flyer on one of the walls when I was walking down the halls, and I was like, I'm gonna go check this out. And I went in and I kind of met Mark, and then Nate showed up later. And I think the actual creating process was it was interesting. It had some, we had some snags, but it's prison, and it wasn't Mark or anybody else's fault. It was the prison trying to make it hard on us, and they didn't want us to have that kind of freedom. They didn't want us to voice ourselves. So they put every kind of roadblock they could in our way. It was an interesting experience.
Would you say that music was something that you were able to continue once you were out and released? And if so, how was that continued? What kind of music were you able to make even while you were behind bars, but also when you were out?
Yeah. Behind bars, I kind of just worked with whoever was doing whatever, and so I ended up playing a lot of really cool stuff. I got some bluegrass with one guy. I played some heavy metal with another guy that I was in there with. Some basic pop style music that we kind of messed around with, but I mean it was kind of all shapes and sizes. But outside, I didn't really have too many opportunities out here to continue a music progress. It's once you hit that gate, you're out in the street and you're free. It's that there's no one out here to help you. What I mean? There's no one out here. So all of a sudden, all these stresses and all these other stuff starts piling on top of you. Now you have to get a job, you have to pay rent, you have to do this. So it was really hard for me to pursue that, keep pursuing my music. So it kind of just it almost died with me at the door, unfortunately.
Tate, you on this one.
I guess on that note too, just being that you haven't had the opportunity to really get back into music or even have the resources with you to navigate afterwards. What would you recommend, or how would you I guess what would be some tips of advice that something that maybe the program could do, or ways that people can continue music? How do you think people can support?
It really sucks that the prison put the roadblock there too, because part of that is that the prison doesn't want any kind of volunteer talking to an inmate even after they're released. And they could get all their volunteerships, all that stuff revoked just for continuing contact with a prisoner after they're released. And it's that totally defeats the purpose of the music program, is to help us develop this music. And then I said, once I hit the gate, there was nothing out here. The only people that I could make music with were the people that I made music with in prison. So a few of those people were still locked up. I had to wait.
Right.
And so it made it difficult. So I said, my music just kind of died with me at the gate. Unfortunately, I couldn't pursue it because the people I made music with were still locked up.
Right.
And I had my own life to pursue. I had to get a job. I had to start staying around. So it's it sucked. But I mean, if there was any way that you guys they could keep in touch with the prisoners after they release, that'd be the best way to do it. Because like I said, when I got out here, I didn't have any idea where to go. Maybe some information on where to go, some free studios, or maybe people that are working, connect with people that are working on the outside to actually record music so that when people get released, they can continue that. That would be really cool.
100,
100%.
yeah. I was curious, because like from my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, we had listened to like the other podcast piece that you had done. I forget with what the guy's name was, but you had done another podcast piece
with Joshua, right?
Yeah, with Josh. And from like just kind of context clues and all that, was your release actually during like the middle of the COVID pandemic?
No, actually, it was just before it.
Okay. It
was just before it.
Mm-hmm. How was that transition? Because like if it was like literally right just before, like you were in like the process of getting out and then pandemic, like you were just getting normalized into life and then the pandemic happened. So like what was that like for you, and like how did you navigate all of that?
That was interesting because it was a whole series of events. Like I had been out for like maybe like 6 months before COVID happened. And during that time I had gotten a job, and I like just left my job, and I was like, okay, I got my check, I got taxes coming in, so I can kind of just like relax for like a month or two and just kind of like recollect myself, because I never had a chance to collect myself when I got out of prison. I just jumped straight into it.
Right.
And then like during that month, COVID happened.
Oh.
And it was like all of a sudden I'm jobless. Now it's really harder to get a job. And
right.
So like there was a whole transition into like different kind of living and stuff like that. Luckily, like my PO worked with me and she was really cool with it. Unfortunately, I've been through like 5 different POs since then, so they're having trouble with the COVID too. Like they keep switching up their offices and stuff. So it's been a challenge. It's been a real challenge.
Right. I think, yeah, that makes total sense. Even like, I think this was something that popped up. Like, so in dealing with just like, I feel like something that we don't like understand as people who haven't been like in prison is like, you have to kind of rebuild a social life. And like, how do you like, what was it like reconnecting with people, or like just even like making new friends, or like rebuilding your social life after being released?
I totally rebuilt it. When I got out the gate, I kind of just cut ties with everybody, because I realized like not a single person, not a single one of my friends, they all said, "Oh, you're like a brother to me, like family, like family." Not a single one reached out to my family to see how I was, see where I was. Like I just disappeared. I went to prison and nobody knew where I was, but nobody cared to even ask, even look for me. Like it was just, I just disappeared. They're like, all right, whatever, it's just it's gone, whatever, sure. So I was like, okay, well, none of you are really all my friends at all, so you can all go fuck off. Excuse my language.
No,
but
you don't need to.
that's how it went.
Dang, okay. I apologize. I'm so
rebuilding
sorry.
No, I mean, it's kind of a common thing for people in prison. Like I heard it over and over and over again from people in there. It's like as soon as you hit the gate, you find out who your real friends are, because everyone just disappears. They just forget about you. Life goes on. So rebuilding it was interesting, because I mean, I had to make new friends and stuff. Some of my friends that I kept from prison, they kind of ended up going back into their criminal life and whatnot, and I kind of had to cut ties there. And for the most part, I've just kind of been staying at home. Especially with the COVID and stuff, it's really hard to make friends because you can't hang out with people. It's harder to hang out and So yeah, it's been fun.
It'd be real. Yeah, I'm sorry that like the struggles, like again, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and you just made a huge transition in your life very recently, and like I'm so sorry that like these difficulties have been brought up, because like you can't just go to a bar and hang out with people, and like it's out of the way.
And especially like on top of that, they label you as a felon and stuff, and I'm on parole. So I can't even go to the bar even if I wanted to. Like, so they tell me I can't drink alcohol, I can't even smoke a joint to calm down, and yet I have like all these huge like piles and piles of stress on my head. Oh, you got to pay those supervision fees too. Oh, you got to go to class every week and pay the $40 for that class. They don't make it easy. Like they're and then they hide behind the guise of, oh, we're trying to help. We're trying to help, but we need all your money. and we're going to make it super hard because that's why you got into criminality in the first place, is because life was hard, right? We're going to make it harder for you.
God, man.
Oh, but we're trying to help. Trying to help.
I'm curious because, like you're speaking about, obviously, in like there haven't been resources really to like, or it hasn't even seemed like there's been all that much systematically in place to genuinely like help you on your journey out. Like it really just sounds like it's been just like, and I commend you on this too, because it's not something that everybody can do. It's like the strength of you is amazing for being able to just continue and living life and work hard. But I'm curious what if there have been any resources or even pages or even organizations that have helped you on your journey to the outside world.
They did help me they did give me housing, so I did have a roof over my head when I got out, and I do give them that. I commend them for that, because that was real. That was clutch. That was super important. And if I didn't have housing, I don't know if I would have been able to stay out of criminal life. I don't know if I would have been able to stay out of it. But other than that, I mean, that was kind of it. They kind of just gave me a place to stay and said good luck. And it's the funniest part is like they keep telling us what we need to do, but they don't help us do it. They're like, you need to get a job. You need to get a job. You need to get a job. So can you give me some resources, some like felon-friendly jobs, people that actually hire felons? Because I've been to a lot of different places and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't hire felons. Thanks. Awesome.
Yeah, I feel as if like that's something that I would love, like anyone who ends up watching this, like in the process, like as someone who has like done your time and like who has been like done what you needed to do in the concept of like the mind of our society, like you've done what you needed to do, like why is it important to kind of try and release those like felon specific jobs? Like I feel like there are jobs that like only like there's those jobs that like they're like, oh, like as a felon you can get this job, but like if you are a felon you can't get this job. Why is it important to shed concepts such as that, for you at least?
100%, like almost 80% of the American population has some form of felony these days. So it's like, I mean, it's so hard to like, I don't know. It's easy to get in trouble for something. Like I met so many people that were in prison that were in prison for something that they didn't even know they were breaking the law. Like they didn't realize there was a law, like some kind of tax evasion or something like that. Or like, I saw there was a guy in prison for child neglect because he put his kid in timeout for 10 minutes. The kid was only 5 years old. You can only put your kid in timeout for 1 minute per their age. He didn't know that. I didn't know that. And so he's in prison for however many years for child neglect, and that huge stamp is on him now, child neglect. That now like every single dog is gonna see that, thinking he's some kind of like terrible person. And it all came down to he just put his kid in timeout for too long. It's like it's so easy to like pick up a felony nowadays. That's like I think like as you said that, like why is it important to release that? I honestly believe it shouldn't even be a thing. Like I know how ban the box is a movement, and they can't put that on like apartments can't ask if you have a felony. That shouldn't be a thing anywhere. Like my past, like if I'm out in the street asking for a job at this point, I've done my time. I did it. I paid my dues. Can I move on now? Can I be what you're trying to make me be, a productive member of society?
Right. 100%. Nah. I think that's very clear. I was curious, kind of shift of placement. I wanted to actually ask you, based on CRCI Studios being like a musical program, I just wanted to know, like, what kind of music do you like to listen to? Who are some of your musical influences when you were trying to create music, and like, like what do you like to listen to in general?
I guess it kind of depends what mood I'm in. If you wanna, I like bluegrass. I love bluegrass. Steel Drivers at the top of the line. I listen to bluegrass. I love kind of contemporary alternative. So like I like Royal Blood. Queens of the Stone Age is really good. I also like some heavy metal. I love heavy metal, so I'll get down to some Lamb of God. Rap. I listen to hip hop. I mean, I can't. I don't know. What's his name? NF is his flow is just ridiculous. His raps are crazy. I know he's like a Christian rapper too, so but you almost can't tell. Like some of the things he talks about are like really deep. Who else? Oh man, like I said, the name of genre, I'll tell you.
A little bit of everything. I listen to it all. A little bit of everything. Yeah. I was also curious, like, so like it sounds like music wasn't something that you were able to continue, but was there anything now that like you've picked up hobby wise that like you're just like, this is like my thing, like I love to do this, like this is how I like break, this is how I like chill, this is how I like have fun, like any hobbies or anything that you're doing now?
I love doing just any kind of craft with my girlfriend has a 5-year-old kid. And we just kind of do any kind of crafts or anything around the house. Fun. I play video games. He started playing Minecraft, and so I play Minecraft with him all the time. And it's kind of interesting how like a 30-year-old can get into a kid's game like that. Like, but I mean, it's just a creative game, like being able to kind of like draw, basically just draw. And I did a lot of drawing while I was in prison, so it was like being able to put the art from the mind onto the screen or onto paper, as it says, kind of the same translation. Like my kid keeps asking me, I built this giant Pikachu on one, and he's like, how did you do that? Like, I just let my brain kind of just go, man. Like, and he tells me, he's like, oh, I didn't build this right. It doesn't look good. I'm like, there's no wrong things in art, man. It's just whatever you see in your brain. That's it. It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
Right. 100%. I love that anecdote. Like the brain, like there is no wrong way for art. Your brain is just like what it does. Also, really cool to hear that you were drawing. Like, what kind of art were you making when you were behind bars? Like, what would you like to draw? And like, even now, like, what kind of things do you like to draw? And like, what kind of art do you like to make?
I loved photorealism. I loved like a little bit of flash art, but I loved like drawing, like getting the shade of the shadows on like skulls and stuff. I kind of practiced, like, I mean, I learned to draw. Like, I could barely draw a stick figure when I first went in there. So I learned how to draw everything while I was in there. And I started with like little, like simply feathers, and then skulls, and then I turned into dragons and full figure women. I mean, people started charging, like paying me to draw cards for them and stuff. And that's where that's lucrative.
That's awesome.
That's nice.
I didn't know if you had any other questions. I know I've been asking you hella questions, just like on the basis.
I wanted to, I guess, kind of tap into what Ado was saying, because you were creating art while you were in. Do you think you would, like, what are some other things besides just music that you think would be good to have as programs for guys inside that are just like wanting to express themselves, or even on the note of CRC, what are some things that you noticed that like there could be some improvements for, or like additives?
That's a good question. It's hard too, because I've seen a lot of them. They try to do like some kind of like, they try to do a bunch of different like crafting classes and stuff like that. And it's like, it's a bunch of men in prison, so they're like, you know, macho men being like, oh, I don't want to do crafts and stuff, but people like love to speak their voice. And so like, it's hard to say that there's anything other than music in there. It's, I mean, it's a way, music is a way for people to tell their story. And so like, it's easy for people to get into it, especially when they find their niche, their style of music or whatever. But yeah, I don't know what else there would be, like, because sports get competitive, and I've seen way too many people fight on the yard because of sports.
Right.
You know, I would, if I were to give any advice to them, I would tell them to like really focus on that music program, because like people can get good in there, and they can, and build a band or whatever, and get out and keep going with that, and you can build that life. And I don't know, I focus more on people trying to get jobs, like try to teach people how to get their jobs and how to get their lives back and everything like that. But I mean, I feel like our system is kind of built on recidivism. Like it's built on people coming back to prison. Like they need their money. I mean, the government's not going to make money if there's no one in the prison, right?
Right.
So they got to make their money. So it's hard.
100%.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Do you have another one you want to hit with?
I'm trying to tapping in to some questions. Excuse me, I'm just dabbling through.
Okay. I want to.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So this is another like kind of, it could be a heavier question, but it is just something like based on your comfortability, how you want to answer it. So right now, like what is your work life like? Like what challenges did you face on getting to the position that you're at in work? And then like, is it something that you believe is fulfilling for yourself?
At the moment, I don't have a real job. I kind of do odd side, but I'm kind of a stay-at-home dad at the moment because the little kid wasn't in school for a while, or when I first met my girlfriend, and so I was kind of staying at home taking care of the kid while she was at work, because like I said, I lost my job, and then COVID happened, so I was like, I met her shortly after that, and so like I was like, well, I don't have a job right now. You have a really good job. She's making good money. And so I'll just, stay at home and watch the kids, so you don't have to pay for childcare. And I have I had food stamps and all that stuff, so you don't have to pay for food or anything. So you just basically just take care of the rent, and I'll take care of everything else. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. But he started school, so I just got my Social Security card back, and I'm on the road.
Right.
100%.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. That's really dope. Like, shout out to you doing that during COVID, because I feel like, I imagine, like, I hope it was something that was fun and beneficial, because I feel like being around someone like a kid is just like that, just like it would like brighten the day.
Oh, he changed my life, definitely, for sure.
I'm curious because for a lot of people, like the pandemic obviously put a lot of folks inside their homes. So I'm curious as to like what additional maybe like life moments or life lessons you learned in seeing that like COVID shut down everything for a while, and like maybe even being in that space with your partner. Like what are some like good moments or life lessons that you learned reflecting back on when COVID was like kind of at its peak?
Gosh, people, I became rather misogynistic, or misanthropic about life lately. Just people can be so selfish. It's so hard. Makes you want to move out to the woods really bad. Like it's just our society. I feel like our society is kind of just going downhill, and it's sad to watch it go. I found the more time I spend inside with my kid and less time outside with other people, the less annoyed I am. So
Right.
He's my best friend. Like he became my best friend. I had a bunch of friends and stuff before I started dating her and started hanging out with Brandon and stuff. And it became like I'd rather just stay at home with him.
Nice.
Real. No, that's for real.
No, it was beautiful.
I was gonna ask, like, what kind of things did you notice, like, shift in media and like change in media from like when you were inside to when like you got out?
Media.
Yeah.
hard one too. I think the biggest shift was right when COVID happened, and like actually it was because Black Lives Matter was started was that just before COVID? Do we know? I can't remember
like,
if
I think it was like
George
like
Floyd?
COVID had hit, and then like the George Floyd incident was like right then.
Yeah, that was nuts. That whole thing was nuts. Like, it was really sad to see like a movement with a good, solid, a solid reason behind it get polluted by everything else. Like the media just polluted them, and it's like it was sad to see like the rioters go and like destroy everything, and then they like media blames on Black Lives Matter. One side of the media blamed on Black Lives Matter, the other side blamed on Antifa, the other side blamed on this. And it was like the whole thing is just a bunch of extremists, and it's like, God, the media was nuts. Like they ate that up, and it was just that. It was the media wants to divide people because that's what creates media. It stirs people up, gets people riled up, and so they kept feeding it to us. And I tried to ignore it as much as possible because at the end of the day, like, the only way I can help is by training the future generation to not be that way. Like, I can't be an extremist and go yell at somebody's face and tell them you're wrong, because all that's going to do is make them more convicted in their standpoint. I can only lead by example. And the more you scream at somebody in their face, the more they're not going to listen. Like if you go and yell at somebody in their face, they're just going to tell you sound like the teachers from Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. That's all you sound like to them. That's all they're hearing anymore. All they're thinking is fuck you. So like we have to lead by love. We have to. And yeah.
I'm curious because a lot of the talk too has kind of definitely surrounded around like society's lack of empathy, right? In general, in media, in your whole rehabilitation process, the lack of empathy and the amount of judgment. I'm curious, what do you do to like de-stress, or like where are some places that you might go maybe within yourself somewhere like else that like can really just help you ground yourself with the world being so like crazy, especially like during COVID and coming out? I'm curious.
Yeah, and it's not easy because the media, like portrays us coming out of prison as like these animals. Like you see these shows like 60 Days In. I think, oh, all the inmates are just animals. They're just, and so we get frowned upon a lot, like people that don't know, like they just automatically assume like, oh, you're a felon, you must be a bad person. And so it's really hard to find a place to like. It's hard to find that place in my head where I'm like, I'm not a bad person just because I made a mistake. And that's kind of where I have to go, I guess, in my head. Is that like there's a big difference between guilt and shame. And guilt is, I've done something wrong, versus shame is I am something wrong. And it's like I have to feel that I'm guilty and I did what I did, and I know that I was wrong, but that doesn't define who I am. And so I mean, my happy place is just kind of just sitting on the couch with my kid or with my dog, cup of coffee. That's my happy place.
Right.
Definitely. That's good. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that something in like having this conversation with you that I'm like really like that is like making abundant sense to me is like how almost like you've hit a place of like your life is very like, it sounds very like freeing to a point. Like you have animals, you have a kid that you can come home to, you have what sounds to be a very healthy relationship that you're coming home to. And like, do you like in this being where you are now, like, what goals are you continuing to go for, and like what do you like, is this like, do you see yourself like what is the next step on your road for you? Because like for right now, like truthfully, and I want you, like you are in such a good position for like what you've been through. So like I'm just curious, like where is where's the moon gonna take you next?
I want to, well, job is next for sure. Number one is job, but I have some possible assets that are coming in soon. But I want to eventually either, I want to own my own business. That's number one. And possibly either be like, I want to buy an apartment complex maybe and landlord, or possibly just invest and talk to like an investment banker or something like that and invest money into the stock market, and we'll see where that goes. But I want to own my own business. That's my goal. Is I want to maybe be a landlord or maybe a mechanic shop or something. But that's the end goal. End goal: house, business owner.
It's coming. I know it's coming. I feel like I only have a few more questions left on my end. I wanted to ask, this is another kind of more fun one. Right now, are there any shows, series, movies, cartoons, anything that like you've been enjoying that you think that people should be watching, or that like you're just like, this is my favorite thing right now?
That's funny. Murderville was good. That was good.
Oh, I heard about that. Comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, a little comedy based on like a murder mystery kind of thing. It was pretty comical, I have to admit. It was funny. What else? What is that show that we just finished? Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. We just finished a show recently. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really good. I can't. I'm drawing blanks on that one. That's good.
That's all good. That's all good. We'll make sure everyone watch Murderville. What's it on right now?
Good show. Netflix.
All right.
Okay. That was good. That was funny. It was very comical.
Yes. I love a good funny show. Tay, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
I think I'm good.
As a final piece, do you have any personal business pages or Instagram pages, or like any like friends you want to plug, or like just anything, any shouts out you want to give to anybody right now, or to yourself?
I mean, not really. I don't have any. Skylar Ray is getting up there. He's doing good. His rap career is getting up there. I see him plugging his stuff on Facebook. I was in prison with him, so I love seeing people successful. I love seeing people get out of prison and be successful.
Absolutely.
Gus Rouse, he's got his own business, Tink and Juice, off of Powell-ish. He's doing really good. I like seeing that. I think that's about it as far as anybody I see.
Hey, that's perfect. Please, everyone, go check them out. Ben, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your honesty and your wisdom and just your insight and just your smiles, even. Like, just thank you so much for being here and like able to chat with us, because like your perspective is so important, and like everything that you said was so important, and I just thank you so much.
I also just want to commend you on your journey as well too, because if you haven't been told, you're doing amazing. And
thank you.
Yeah. As y'all saw, getting the opportunity to talk to Ben was incredible. His insight and just his view on the world was incredible. You can follow us everywhere at CRCI Studios. As you can see now, we just recently opened up a YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on so many different social medias. So please follow us and stay tuned for more content just like this.